You're listening to Filmmakers Drinking Bourbon. Hey, what's up, Internet? This is Brandon.
This is Adam.
And this is Chris.
And we're filmmakers.
We're drinking bourbon. Hey,
cheers, guys. Cheers. All
Cheers.
right. Let's see how this tastes.
Oh, yeah.
This is actually a confusing show today. Because we're not actually drinking bourbon.
What are we drinking?
We are drinking an American malt whiskey. An American malt whiskey by our friends at Lexington Distillery. As you know, if you've been listening to the show, the month of November is Lexington Distillery Takeover. So last week we had the Town Branch Bourbon. This week we are jamming on the Purse Lions Reserve American whiskey. Says on the bottle it was made in the Old World.
As opposed to
in
a world?
In the Old World.
Wait.
So man, that's what we're drinking. But the other thing that's throwing me off today is where's our buddy Alex?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. And who's this Chris guy?
I don't know who this Chris guy
Maybe
is.
We'll get on him ask
we're
here
gonna have to get in there. But Alex, our good buddy Alex, is actually on set somewhere in Chi-Town. He's in Chicago on a big shoot. So we can't wait to hear about that next week, hopefully. And so I got something that I'm going to propose, fellas. We're going to hijack this entire podcast. You're an audio guy.
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and people don't know this, but Chris is a rep from Sennheiser.
Oh!
Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
Is it Sennheiser?
Sennheiser.
And as I've mentioned in prior podcasts, my background is actually in audio. I have a bachelor's degree in audio. Do you know that?
I had an idea.
I throw that around every now and again.
I had an idea.
To make sure you know that I know what I'm talking about.
When we work together, you know what you're talking about. So
I'm going to go ahead and say, let's make this show today audio engineers drinking American malt whiskey. Does that sound all right?
You know, I was going to say, since it's American malt whiskey, I was going to offer a title change for the show anyway, just so we can be honest. But if we're going all the way, it might as well be audio, too. So, cheers.
So cheers to an audio show.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right. All audio.
So let's get right into it, Chris.
Yeah.
You are out there with some of the best microphones in the world. What do you do? Who are you? What do you do?
Well, it's a really fulfilling job, first of all, being an audio geek. I never have to, my decisions about what microphone I'm going to use for something are kind of made for me already. So, Sennheiser makes a massive breadth of products.
Yeah.
It's a global company. They make microphones for film production and live in the studio, but they also make call center headsets and aviation headsets and headphones and things for commercial audio and museums and all sorts of things. So here in this part of the country, what we do are we go and evangelize Sennheiser to the people who use it.
Like this guy.
Like that guy.
That's right.
Mr. Plyman over here at Sound Images. We're actually in your studio, Studio B.
Yes.
And so he's using stuff all the time. Well, you got any Sennheisers, any Neumanns in your arsenal?
Well, yeah. I mean, so I've got. Well, that's right. Sennheiser owns Neumann now,
yeah, right.
I mean, that happened a while back. Yeah,
that's like a thing.
Yeah, we've got lots of U87s. Well, we got 414s, lots of 414s, old ones too. 421.
Oh, the 421. Back in my audio days in college, the 421, that was like my go-to for the kick drum.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked it there.
I was the first engineer here who used that on. I was told. Now, easily they could have done stuff before me, but everyone used it on kick here before me. And I prefer the 421s on toms.
You go toms,
yeah, just for the sole reason of quantity here. I'm like, we'll use these on toms. I can figure out something else for the kick.
Sure.
But yeah, because it's got the bite, it's got the top end that makes it work. So you get that definition.
It's a cool little guy. What do you guys reckon? Let's go with classic Sennheiser. What are the best selling ones out there, and what are the ones where do you guys kind of recommend they go?
Well, the 421, 441 are classics, and they are always a staple. Yeah. Those things don't ever seem to slow down
or break.
Or break, which is amazing because you'd think you sell people a whole bunch of microphones that don't break, that eventually everyone would have one. But people continually find new uses for them. And then Sennheiser has a line of microphones called the Evolution series.
Yep.
The 600, the 800, and the 900 Evolution wired series. And those are kind of the bread and butter of the new age of instrument
now
mics.
Are those excuse me for saying, like an SM57?
We have stuff that compares to that.
Okay.
Like the 600 series is kind of our instrument series. We've got some tom mics, large diaphragm kick, and a PZM type kick microphone.
Cool.
Pencil condenser overheads and things like that, as well as handheld performance stage mics. And then in our 900 series, we have kind of the same complement of microphones with some upgraded features, better capsules, and switchable polar patterns and roll-offs and things like that in there. So
excellent. So you got a lot of choices for things that you need to do.
We got choices for days. If you want to mic toms, you could spend a day picking through all the choices that we have to mic toms.
So Adam, let me throw it to you. What are some of the common problems that you find in a studio? Engineers, some of the pain points and the stories that you guys find throughout, whether you're doing a commercial jingle or you're doing a band's record. What are those places where you're like, man, I really want to get this type of sound? And what type of mics have you explored? Talk about some of your issues. Let's see if Chris has any solutions.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's not a pain so much as it's if you're doing it right, you've got your direction. You know where you need to run, and you know what you need to get. So you know what sound you need to get. You know what you're going for. But then the question is, and you can ask any. There's three of us audio guys in one room. We can ask one question off three different answers and probably all be right. So it's more along the lines of the
I like
question
that you referred to me as an audio guy.
Hey, well, it's an audio show now. He apparently got a degree. So, but it's those things of and it does come down to, and with me a lot, it's what's in style. It's not mic selection of what's in style, but how do you get the sound you're going for in that style? And there's a couple of, and we already said them, that I already know that if I need that brightness of that piano, I know what mic I'm grabbing.
Right.
I know what that's going to be. But it's how do you stay in front of that is the thing. How do you stay in front of that?
It's interesting what you say about style. Do you see, as styles change in music, different spikes in the type of mics that are being sold?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is I always say there's two types of microphones. There's microphones that you use for their character, and there's microphones that you use for not their character. Yeah. A microphone is a tool, kind of like an electrician would come in, have a bag full of tools. Even the people that work at Sennheiser will have something else in their bag to use, from time to time. So it's very subjective that way. But there definitely are trends. The E609 is a really, really popular microphone that it's really easy to just plug in and drape over the front of a guitar cab. Yeah. Right. Now it had it's kind of, you can argue which came first, the chicken or the egg, but here's this microphone that stage guys find really easy to pop in.
Is
and
that
lay
the one
over
that's like a square?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, those are rad.
So you start hearing that, and people are getting some cool tones out of it, and you're like, oh, I like that guy's guitar tone. What's he using? Oh, it's this, and this processing and that processing, and they start using it, and it's sometimes that kind of stuff comes from the live aspect of it. Sometimes it comes from a hit record where somebody tried something new, and it's just a round robin, and it builds and builds momentum, and next thing you know, everybody wants to use an SM57 on toms because that's what everybody does.
Yep.
That's cool, man. Well, you talk about different mics for different scenarios. I'm going to go ahead and just, expand this episode to our filmmaking audience. There are quite a few out there. Typically, filmmakers are looking at two things. One, wireless. A lot of guys who are doing run and gun, some guys who are doing weddings, live action type stuff, and then the shotgun mic.
Right.
So let's talk about that. Let's start with shotgun.
Okay. So shotguns, the idea here, you've got a really long microphone with a bunch of holes along the side, right?
Also known as nodes, is that right?
Oh, Mr. Degree.
Am I right? Is that's what those are called, right?
I call them
nodes.
Cutout thingabobs.
I think they're called nodes.
With the dealy wigs you shouldn't tape over.
Well,
Jobby.
The idea is that there's an area behind the microphone capsule where sound can get in also, and there are cancellations that happen to focus the pattern of that microphone forward. Yeah. And the reason they're great on film sets is you see it a lot of times on a pole. You can get it up over people's heads, capture that small area of talent focus without hearing the camera guy scratching his butt or the dolly operator dropping something, that kind of thing.
And you guys were actually awarded, I think, an Oscar or something at some point for the MKH 816, right?
Yep. And the
Adam's impressed right now.
I saw you read it.
Yeah,
he's impressed with my game day notes.
The award list for Sennheiser Innovations is pretty long. It's kind of exciting, but the idea behind this is to get something focused where when you've got a view of a camera lens, if you hear something that's outside of that scope, it's distracting and takes you out of that suspension of disbelief. So now there's a lot of trends in film and video these days. People are shooting on DSLRs and mobile devices, and cameras are getting smaller. So the microphones have kind of had to follow that trend as well.
Right.
And we've got two kind of nice entry level shotgun mics for that the DSLR guy.
Okay, cool. What are they?
Really?
The MKE series.
Okay.
We've got an MKE 400, which has a little shoe mount, goes right on your hot shoe, and then has an 1/8" cable to plug into the
and
side.
what's the polar pattern on that?
It's a what we call a low bar or shotgun, or it's a mini shotgun.
Is that a hypercardioid or?
Yeah. There with the patterns, there's kind of there's not a definition where with this pattern it goes from cardioid to super cardioid. It's kind of relative to what else it compares to. So you could call it a hyper. It's probably a little more focused than that.
Sure.
But it's powered off of a single AA battery, and you've got the power switch on the side, so you just reach up and shut it off when you're not shooting, and it's really handy to have in a camera bag.
That's cool.
The MKE 600 is more like you would recognize a traditional shotgun mic. Also runs off of a AA battery, so if your camera doesn't have phantom power, it's just a simple cable adapter to go from XLR to 8".
But you might have to worry about going too wide on your lens. It might peek over, depending on if it's about a foot long.
Depending on your lens, it's about a foot long. Okay. And it comes with a shock mount that also goes on the shoe, or you can put that with the same mount. It's also got a thread to go onto a mic stand or a fish pole or something like that.
Okay, cool. Now on those mics, some of those mics, if they're not made well, they'll have a pretty wicked nugget on the back end actually recording the reverb.
Yeah, and it's not even if they're not made well. What that is that what gives it that pattern and rejects the stuff from the side. Everything in engineering has a trade-off.
Yeah.
And the trade-off is that you get a lobe straight out the back. It's the same with speakers and monitors and microphones and that whole deal.
You always see that if you look at polar patterns, you'll always see that
little nugget.
Little dangler in the back there.
Yeah, and
if you're listening, the proper term is dangler.
It's a dangler.
It's a dangler.
It's a dingleberry of polar pattern right there.
You just got to be careful of where your dangler serious.
That's right. Always. That's life science right there.
Yeah. And if your camera's loud, just drop off your audio, your
right.
post house, and have them clean it up.
Yeah.
So, well, that's good to know. And what about when it comes to wireless? I know in the stuff I do, I try to shy away from wireless stuff. There's always a frequency response issue. There's always some crazy noise or whatever. So I like to always kind of stay wired, but I'm intrigued by this new AVX thing you guys got out.
Yeah, there's a lot of really exciting new stuff coming to the wireless world. First of all, wireless from a convenience standpoint is hard to beat sometimes. But just like, the engineering trade-off of the dangly out the back, your engineering trade-off for making a microphone wireless is that you have to deal with other stuff that's in the air,
the universe.
Yeah, right, right, exactly.
I mean,
dark matter.
Yeah, in live sound and a few jobs back, it would be a nightmare.
You used to work live sound?
Yeah, a lot of corporate stuff,
buddy.
Big corporate things. But we would do this. So we would travel quite a bit, and you'd do a show in Vegas, and we would have to run to the stages next door, talk to them about all the wireless frequencies they're using, and we'd have a bank of like 8 to 14 different wireless packs we were using, and you'd all have to team up. Then that whole bank you were allowed to use got smaller.
Right.
And all the inventory of stuff we had to use, we had to kick out. And so now we're stuck even in a smaller pond with even more demand for what we were doing. So what does, I guess, how does the AVX stuff work in that arena? I mean, I've got a piece right here, and there's not much frequency. So I mean, there's not many things I can do or change on it.
It's got a little blue. It's got a little blue dealy.
Yeah,
looks pretty.
And that's kind of the idea. You talk about all the frequency coordination and chunks of the UHF spectrum going away, and you're not allowed to use these mics, and you have to coordinate with your neighbors. And
it's a pain.
It's a pain for an audio engineer. Imagine how much of a pain it is for a guy who doesn't know anything about wireless mics and just wants to plug it into his camera. And so one of two things will happen: either they will do it and get burned because their audio didn't come out the way that they wanted or whatever, or they'll just ignore it and not take advantage of that, that awesome convenience. So with the UHF spectrum changing, like you said, the pond's getting smaller and we're getting more fish at the same time.
Yeah.
So with AVX, what Sennheiser decided to do here was step out of that UHF spectrum to something that can get them the distance and the performance that they need without the licensing and those kind of things. So
smart.
What they did was a 1.9 gigahertz, and we talk about 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz,
Sure.
and what these all are these are license-free wireless bands, and what that means is that anybody who wants to make a device that communicates in there, as long as the hardware meets the government's requirements, they can do that, right? So if you're looking at 2.4 gigahertz, you might have a cordless phone, your Bluetooth headset, your Wi-Fi router, and by accident your microwave, or something like that. So from a standpoint of stuff to compete with, even though it's license free, it's more convenient. There's a lot more stuff to compete with than there are in the UHF band even. So with 1.9 gigahertz, while it's the same type of thing, it's a license-free band.
Right.
For digital transmission, it's not nearly as common as the 2.4 or the 5. And so if you were to scan that frequency band here right now with that on, it's probably the only thing that you would find in that band.
Gotcha.
Maybe a few others.
Now, within that, though, there's multiple channels?
Yes.
So it's not just a one and done.
Right.
It's got a spectrum.
Right. And where in the UHF, you tune the microphone into your channel that you want to use.
Yeah.
With 1.9, it's a little bit different. That stuff is all managed on a smart chipset that's on there. And so if
Gotcha.
something else comes and lands on that, it does what's called frequency hopping, where it sees that something has landed there, switches over to another,
awesome.
and there's a matrix of frequencies
Yeah.
in that 1.9 gigahertz that all the stuff that has to share it can use.
Gotcha.
So what I was doing, walking
That's
from
cool.
stage to stage in Vegas, saying, "Hey guys, this is what I'm doing," is what these microphones do all the time.
In their sleep.
That's
Wow.
That's
Well,
beautiful.
not really
man.
in their sleep.
Well, and the
That's
thing
on
that I
there.
like about it, right now I'm holding the AVX, I guess it's the transmitter or the
Yeah,
receiver.
That's the receiver.
And it's nice and heavy duty. It's not
Yeah.
it's not cheap by any means.
That's I think that's
know?
the one thing in the marketing. That's the one thing in those. And if you look at this thing, you look at it and you're like, oh, it's this little. Nah, this is it's substantial stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
like right on.
Speaking of marketing, you guys did one hell of a job with the AVX
The Oracle.
marketing.
Thank you.
The
I would
Oracle,
like to take credit for
the
it.
Oracle,
That was not my
yeah.
idea, but yeah,
The Oracle film was great, and it really resonated with me as a filmmaker, and that's why I kept saying to Adam, like, we got to get a hold of these AVX things. I want to try them out. They look pretty rad. Like, it's pretty interesting. Because as a film guy, I don't want to mess with audios and
Right,
frequencies and blah blah blah. I want to hit a button and it works.
I mean,
Yeah.
and as an audio guy, we're just lazy anyway. So I mean,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
I'd
well,
much
and
rather not.
the idea of the substance of the film too kind of hits home, because if the
Yeah.
listeners haven't seen it, go check it out. It's you can link
Yeah,
to it from their front page.
We'll post it on our website,
Cool.
fdbpodcast.com. It's a cool film.
But yeah,
Yeah.
there's a a filmmaker who travels.
Don't give it away.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't give it
distance.
away completely.
And I won't. But the kind of the marketing tagline for AVX is relax. It's AVX, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems
When you
odd
need it
at first,
most,
and,
it's going to work.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
one chance. One
Yeah.
chance.
Well,
One
that's
chance.
that's really cool. Now, as far as the can this thing do wireless shotgun? Is there a Pro series for that? You guys got another line that'll kind of do a similar thing? I noticed you had like a I forget what it was called. I guess in the 163 series or the 122, you had like a little transmitter nugget that'll pop
Yeah.
right onto your camera.
Yeah, and these are called our plug-on transmitters.
Okay.
And the model numbers for Sennheiser are all German acronyms, so they're so sometimes when you see the model number, you're like, I'll never remember that, but it's a SKP. And we have a 100, a 300, and a 2000 series, and the differences are the amount of bandwidth that they can use to
Sure.
transmit their signal, and also the higher end ones provide phantom power. So if you have a condenser microphone, you can power it right off of that pack without extra hardware.
Nice.
But
Nice.
at the same time, what you touched on before with the new line of shotguns that has battery powered, you could work something like that where you've got your battery powered shotgun
Right.
Yeah.
working that way. So even on the AVX stuff that doesn't provide phantom power to the belt pack, you'd still be able to say, well, get a shotgun that has its own phantom power built in. Boom.
You're
good.
Right. Wireless boom mic. Send your audio guy to the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could.
Amazing.
We have several mics actually that are built on what we call our K6 power module, and it's a single AA battery phantom power module that you screw onto your shotgun capsule, and then that can go right through an adapter cable into
Well-
an AVX belt pack or something.
there
like
you
that.
go then.
That's awesome.
So you've covered the bases when it comes to microphones and Sennheiser. I mean, pretty much anything you need.
Yeah,
they make.
Well, and
a solution
even on
for it.
the
It's
the
pretty
big,
awesome.
the large diaphragm high end, you got the
Oh, yeah.
Neumanns, right? I mean, that's
Oh yeah.
Yep.
everyone
and-
knows that name.
Yeah.
Yep. Neumann. Neumann and Sennheiser were kind of the two, big
Yeah,
German
that's it,
microphone
yeah.
companies. And at one point, not all that long ago, right about the just before I got started in this business, those two companies merged and are now one. They're still Neumann branding and engineers and Sennheiser branding and
Right.
engineers, but they're owned by the same family.
That's cool.
That has been nice because when you have trade secrets from one company and trade secrets from another company, a lot of times both parties benefit, and we've really seen that. Neumann has launched in the past some large diaphragm handheld condensers for stage, things like that.
Yeah.
Sennheiser has some large diaphragm studio condensers with some really nice feature sets that are a little less expensive than something with a Neumann badge, and they really complement each other really, really well. I don't know anyone who owns a Neumann that doesn't also own Sennheisers and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of the giants of microphones.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, have you had a chance to go to the factory?
I have not. I've been to Sennheiser USA, which is in Old Lyme, Connecticut, in just the most picturesque setting that you can imagine. It's gorgeous, especially in the fall.
Really?
It'd be a great place to work in the fall. But then,
at lunchtime, does everybody have to be quiet so they can roll like ambient? Like
we're going to reset our minds and souls.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little resting period.
Yes.
Just a second. 30 seconds. In 3, 2.
And everybody back to work.
Yeah. They all close their heads and kind of nod. That sound guy. They nod as he counts.
No, but so their Sennheiser USA is in Old Lyme, and then like I said, it's a global company. So there's a Sennheiser Germany is the kind of the mothership, and depending on the product, it will either be made in the U.S. or Germany or Ireland, most likely. A lot of the headphones.
Yeah.
So manufactured.
Like
That's cool. That's I honestly is a really great feeling to hear that, to say, oh, it's manufactured in the U.S. Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of
cool.
interesting because on the wireless side, all our Evolution wireless systems and the UHF systems that we were talking about, we are the German microphone manufacturer
says right
in
here.
the U.S. and our products are made in the U.S. and none of our competitors' products are made in the U.S. But they're made in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Cool.
Well, right on.
Awesome. Right where the meth's at.
That's right.
Sweet.
So little
FTB
film reference there to Breaking Bad. So here's a question I have for you. You get to travel, you get to meet a lot of really cool people, cool studios, just like Sound Images that have been around for a while. You got any cool stories from the road of some places you've been able to see, or things you've heard or gotten to be a part of? Or
let's see.
What are some of your road stories?
Not ROAD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not.
Jeez.
Not road.
That's not.
Although
That's not
we like
what
road. We probably like road. We like road.
Not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
We love everybody here.
Gosh, I don't know. This is.
Is there a studio you've walked in?
This is going to be a tough one. Yeah, one of the I think the coolest points in my career. I don't know if I say is one of the coolest points, but it was definitely eye opening to me. Is we were working some projects for a post company in Detroit.
Cool.
And this was in the middle of kind of the Detroit going bankrupt and everybody being down on Detroit.
Yeah, it's a wasteland.
And we walk into this post studio, and there's like 9 studios in there, and all of them are full, and there's people working.
We're talking about Motown here.
Yeah. And I'm like, it kind of renewed my renewed my faith in the audio industry. I was like,
that's cool.
Places like this still exist.
Well, you got. Did you see got auto advertising town?
Right.
You're talking
right.
The infrastructure
Motown.
they got up there is
the Temptations,
is glorious.
Right? So that's so cool. A lot of good work for voiceovers.
A lot of good voiceover.
Front wheel drive. Get in now. It's a car. It drives.
I'm serious though. I bet you they called up ISDN and had Dennis Leary do that from Boston though.
Probably.
He probably didn't fly to Detroit to do that for you.
But Eminem, he would have came in.
Yeah, he would have walked
totally.
in. Would have been there.
Yeah.
I bet.
So
well, he
cool.
drives for Chrysler while they film, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
So speaking of Dennis Leary and Eminem, guys who are on the silver screen, what are some of the things you guys are watching? You and your team, as you're out, selling microphones to the world and sharing the good news of Sennheiser.
Well,
what are you guys watching, man?
Well, so there's a lot of stuff, and lately this year I've kind of been catching up on a lot of the great series stuff that's out there.
All right.
What do you got?
Well, so a couple of things. Back a few years ago, probably early 2000s, I don't know if you guys remember the big writer strike that they had. And shortly after that, it just seemed like the good cable series thing just exploded with awesome content.
Yeah.
And speaking of Dennis Leary, one of the first shows I think
that's my boy. Weaved it right in. I was waiting.
Was
Eminem's next.
God Rescue Me. Do you guys remember that show?
Yeah,
So
show.
that kind of got me started on this role. But lately I've been I'm a big Kurt Sutter fan. I'm watching Sons of Anarchy for the second time.
Oh man, it was good. Although the ending. Come on.
It could have.
It was horrible. What do you weigh in on this? It was the worst ending in television history.
It was not quite as epic as I expected.
Well, the green screen job was hideous. Him in the truck and the horrible green screen of him with his arms wide open and hair blowing. Sorry, spoiler alert. I mean, it was just
if you haven't seen it by now,
it was a total joke, as if it's like they ran out of money. Like there's like so many dudes that would have done that scene for free and made it look really good.
I like to think that maybe it was an artful decision.
Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But speaking of Kurt, did you see Southpaw?
I have not.
Man!
I added it to my queue the other night because
bump it up.
Yeah,
bump it up in your queue. It's really good.
I'll make sure I get to it this weekend.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
And then what else?
I think there's an Eminem track on that movie.
Yeah, there may
cheers
be.
Cheers to segues.
Hey, segue.
We closed the loop. That boy.
Well done.
What else am I watching? I'm kind of slowly digesting Californication still.
Okay.
Which is an oldie at this point.
Yeah,
but,
I haven't.
But I started it about 4 years later.
I always think to go down that road, and then I just never pull the trigger because I end up watching the trailers, and I'm kind of like, it looks kind of senseless.
It kind of. It may be.
Wait a minute. Wait. Have you watched it yet?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you have. Okay.
I'm
okay.
On, well, not the whole show.
Wait, we're about ready to get into why we haven't watched it an awful lot. That's great.
What are you watching, Adam?
You know, I've been
Kid
recently. Shows. Yeah, I'm catching up. I'm catching up on The Walking Dead, and I did that over the past couple months. And when it was out, I never. I'm like, guys, why are you buying the zombie stuff? And then I'm like, it's not about it. It's not. Well, it's not about zombies.
It's worth a try.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you get a critical mass behind something like that. There's something for everybody.
Sure.
It ends up. It's not about zombies.
A lot of Sennheiser on those productions too.
Nice.
That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I mean,
they filmed that in Atlanta.
Is it Atlanta or Louisiana?
Well, yeah, a little bit
Both,
all
right?
over, but a lot of it was done in Atlanta, especially in the first couple seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the zombies are always there, but it's merely more about the people once it gets later on. It's less of a zombie show. It's
zombies
cool.
Kind of the setting.
Yeah, it's just that if you step out of line, that's going to happen.
Post-apocalyptic sort of into the world scenario sort of thing, right? Mutated zombie people.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Lots of gore, which is why I end up having to watch it by myself.
Yeah, I know that feeling
when the wife goes to sleep. But you know what I've religiously watched over the years, and I gotta say, I like to stay positive. And
Friends?
I continued. Nope. The League. I always watch The League, and I've watched it religiously since day one. And I gotta say, this season's leaving me a little bummed.
I watched
something's
seasons
a little off.
like
It's a little different.
1 through 3. How many are there now?
I think we're on 3.
No, there's more than 3.
4?
There's like 4 or 5.
Really? Whatever.
I watched at least 2.
I'll check my DVR.
I think I watched about 2, and it was okay. Like I enjoyed the 2 I watched. I really loved what's his name's wife. She's great.
Which
the only wife
Kevin's
on the show.
wife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's funny and she's great. And I love Mark
great.
Duplass. He's a great writer. What I don't like, and maybe I don't know, maybe I'm old fashioned. I just don't like sort of like senseless sort of Judd Apatow potty humor. I just don't like.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean? And here's obligatory sexual innuendos and F words for no good reason, and they're not even funny, and the timing's not bad.
And I feel like it even got worse, and that's
weird.
The thing, and it's what's turning me off. And I'll still watch it, and I hope it turns itself around.
I hate the character of the one dude, the dude's friend, Taco's friend, or the guy with the crazy beard.
You hate? Oh. Wait,
what's his name?
There's Rafi.
Yeah,
but there is an episode that he does with Seth that turns that around. That will change you in a way that you watch that. You're like, this is the only shining, gleaming, wonderful moment of this because it makes him so endearing. And from there on out, you're like, this show should be all about him. So,
Speaking of comedies, have you guys seen the new, I'm drawing a blank right now, the new Aziz comedy that's out on Netflix? No. It's called Master of None. It's actually pretty funny. I think it's really funny. Some people say it's basically just knocking off what's his name, the guy with the red hair, the comic.
Carrot Top?
No. The other guy. The other guy. Not Larry David, but the other guy.
Louis C.K.?
Yeah, Louis C.K. Okay. Some people say it's kind of ripping off Louis C.K.'s formula, but for me, Louis C.K. was he's a little too self-loathing for me. I don't quite get that. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know, but the Aziz stuff I think it's pretty funny. Yeah. It kept me for like 6 episodes now. So
really,
yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, put it in line.
It's worth trying in. Now, Chris, let's let you weigh in. We have a long-standing debate on this podcast.
Oh, wait. I mean, we're I think we're all aligned. On the same boat. Yeah,
I don't know. Me and you are aligned.
Maybe we'll see. Yeah.
Me and you are aligned for sure. But the real question here at FTB Podcast is, what do you think about superhero movies? You in or you out?
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Which one?
So I am in.
Oh! But Alex would be proud. Alex is in Chicago right now, rejoicing.
We liked you, Chris.
I got to tell you, I'm a convert.
Oh! There's a backstory.
Okay, so I was never very into superheroes much at all. My wife was. And I have 4 kids now.
That's how football happened to me.
So So with kids and a wife who love them, I can't escape them.
Yeah.
And for sheer entertainment value, they're hard to beat.
Okay.
I don't follow the storylines. I don't know, if the guy's wearing the wrong version of the costume because of where he is in the storyline.
Right. But there's a lot of things blowing up and lasers and all sorts of stuff.
Yep. And my kids will play Iron Man for days.
Wow.
On end,
Now let me ask you this: do you go personally now that you're kind of in a little bit? You're on Team Alex on who he would love you right about now. The question is do you go Marvel or do you go DC? Because there's a difference in the films.
There is, but I got to say, I'm not in it enough to care.
No. All right.
Okay. Come back a little bit.
He's coming back a little bit.
Okay.
Typically, the DC stuff's pretty dark. It's kind of hard to show your kid. Heath Ledger.
Right.
It's pretty rad. But okay. Well, that's good. That's good to know.
I mean, if it's a kid thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and I just thought I'd throw it. It's been a while since we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And that's always a hot issue. If you're out there listening, you always know you can chime in on ftbpodcast.com. Ask me anything. Holler at us on your opinion on the superhero matter. Let us know what you're watching. And if you have any questions about Sennheiser or microphones or any of that, fire away. We'll make sure those get answered as well. So, the other question we like to ask on the show is, what are you working on? So what are the things you guys are working on right now that you're trying to accomplish? What's really the hot topic with the business?
Well, I'd say kind of the 2 things. Sennheiser wireless has always been where they shined. When it comes to putting a lot of channels of wireless together in a difficult city like Vegas or New York or something like that, it's really hard to beat Sennheiser. Mm-hmm. And that whole landscape, that wireless landscape has changed. It changes continually from year to year to year. And so we always, and especially right now, have a lot of focus on that. Because we've got a lot of new camera product with AVX and that kind of thing, and the clip mics for mobile recording, those sorts of things. So there's a lot of focus for us on the camera world and the wireless world especially.
So you mentioned the clip mic. What is this thing, Adam? What do you got over there? You're holding on to something.
Well, we've got ourselves a giveaway. From Sennheiser, yeah.
Hold that bad boy up.
All right, so check this out. So what we got is the Sennheiser clip mic, digital. So what this thing is, and Chris, you can take us through it. What the one thing that I love. I look at this. Well, first off, there's like lace on this gal. Whoever wins this thing gets a classy.
It's the camisole.
Classy, yeah,
Nice.
it's pretty nice. But so check this for all us audio freaks out there. So this is a clip-on mic that goes straight into your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch. And all right, so you're like, hey, sweet, a clip-on mic. Apogee converter built in.
Whoa.
So like the name in converters to get your audio, analog audio to digital, Apogee converter built in. So pretty sweet deal
Let me
here.
see that thing.
Yeah, man. So
That's cool.
so Chris, tell us. I mean, I think it connects. There's a segment of that market that you guys connected with stuff like that, with being able to talk to like the digital filmmakers and the asset dollar stuff that Sennheiser's doing really well.
Yeah.
Tell us about the
but who's actually using this? Because I mean, if I hire an audio guy on location, he's bringing a full rig, his whole deal. I mean, in the studio, you're using like some pretty badass mics. So who's using this thing? It is cool, but who's the market?
Well, there are a couple. First of all, the concept of it is really pretty simple. It's one of our staple lav mics. It's a really good quality lav on a good quality converter into a mobile device. Now there's that whole saying where the best camera is the one you've got.
Yeah.
And that certainly applies to audio as well. Can't tell you. I go to trade shows all the time, the NABs and Infocoms and NAMs and things like that. And I'm shooting videos and stuff for our marketing and that kind of thing. And I've always got something going into my phone. I'm shooting it on my phone, editing it on my iPad,
nice.
and publishing it same day,
on the spot.
right now, content delivery.
And think about it as a backup too. I mean, imagine if you've got if you're running around in your bag of tricks, you've got your boom and your lav, and something goes south, and lav's out. All you've got is boom, and it's really noisy, and you're like, what do I do? You've got something that's coiled up in your bag that you can go, right on, got it, clip on, go. You're running, you're back
Right
up
to
and
your
running.
phone.
Moments later,
Or you forget to put new batteries in your Zoom recorder.
yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody
Inevitable.
I've probably done that before.
Yeah.
So what's this thing go for though? I mean, is it $500? What is this?
Oh man, now you're putting me on the spot.
Well, you got to enter your zip
it's-
code to find the
No, it sells for
Country
about
was-
$200 on the street.
right on.
That's pretty good.
So you got, I mean,
$200 for an Apogee converter and a
Yeah.
a Sennheiser lav mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when you think
That's
about
not bad.
What do we got?
all the different places you can use it, I mean, you're thinking about audio for shooting video on the mobile device, but you can do dictation if you want to do a spot interview.
Sure.
All that.
Now let me
kind of
ask you
stuff is
this:
great.
can I plug it into my phone, clip it to my subject, and then film them from my phone with the mic in?
You can. Now
That's game changer.
there's a few caveats to that, and one is
Cable
that
length.
if you want to monitor it at the same time, you have to have an app that allows you to do that.
Right.
Does
and
that
not-
app exist?
Yeah.
Great.
Not all of them do. Like the standard video
Sure.
app on the iPhone does not,
Yeah,
but
okay.
you can spend a couple bucks and get a good quality video app that has audio monitoring.
So I
on
can
it.
get a pretty nice tight shot with good content with the subject right there.
For both dollars.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man, that's so. Audio Geek gotta ask it. Sample rate, bit depth. What are we talking here?
Well, that's a very good question.
On the side, I see it says 96K 24 bit. So for me, need no more. But how's a phone handle it? That's the question. How can
I would
how's that
think just fine. I mean, I know the new
capable?
the new
Yeah, I can
iPhones are
do-
shooting 4K, so
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they can handle audio, a little audio.
Industry tends to focus on visual first, audio second. So
it does
but-
all 8 bits.
yeah, but yeah, man, that's
cool.
cool. Yeah, so
So you're
So-
gonna
so
we,
what-
we
what-
actually
what
get
do
to
they-
give this away?
yes, this is for
What?
one of our listeners right here, man.
Well, listen,
So-
if you are a longtime listener or a new listener to the show, let me tell you how you can get your hands, I'm about to grab it right now, on this clip mic recorder from Sennheiser. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to reach out to Sennheiser. You guys are on Twitter, right?
Yep.
It's like at Sennheiser?
At Sennheiser USA.
USA. So you're going to say, hey, at Sennheiser USA. And then you're also going to mention yours truly, FDB Podcast, at FDB Podcast, and you're going to use the hashtag FDB Giveaway. If you mention Sennheiser USA, FDB Podcast, and hashtag FDB Giveaway, you will be entered to win this awesome clip mic that's worth like $200.
That's pretty sweet.
That's pretty badass.
Pretty sweet. And how come we're not eligible for these things?
I know.
I could mention all three of them right now before we even publish the podcast.
How hard is it to start a dumbest Twitter account?
I know.
Yeah, wait.
I'm trying to get that AVX action. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get in that.
I am thoroughly impressed with
that.
the AVX.
So.
I dig them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good thinking.
Adam, as far as your world, man, you working on anything cool
Cool.
that you can share? I know you've been in that Studio A over there.
Well, it's been Jingle Day
Right.
or Jingle Week.
Yeah.
I want to say so.
You're
Lots of demos, lots of big guitars, and trying to figure out how to make people really dig this company. So not my
cool.
company, their
Sure,
company.
right.
So when it comes out, I like jingles.
Y'all, they're
I
fun,
love
man.
it. It's you get to be fun. You get to kind of be a little quirky, be a little salesy. It's fun. So that's why I've been all week and getting ready to.
Maybe we should. Could you write us an FDB jingle?
Yes, absolutely,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. It's gonna be 4-part harmony, 3-part harmony the whole time.
When you're on the run, FDB Podcast is so much fun. Driving in your car, it's like sitting at the bar.
Well, I mean, I could do it,
Sounds
but
like it's done.
you just did. So, congratulations.
Oh man,
Looks like I don't have to do that.
good
freebie
times,
now.
man.
That's
Good
great.
times.
That's
So,
awesome.
what are you guys excited about? That's the other question we have on the show. Anything not even related to microphones? A movie coming out, new gear, cool stuff happening, new mics, new whatever, new bourbon. What's everybody stoked about right now?
All right. First thing happened this morning that I am not excited about, yet partially excited about. Pappy Van Winkle went out on sale this morning at probably one of the globe's largest liquor stores here in
Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, Northern Kentucky.
Pappy
So-
Van Winkle. Everyone, it's a legend. Everyone thinks it's this untouchable bourbon.
$200-something a bottle. I'd love to try it. Just like I'd love to try King Louis sometime.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen for me right now. I don't think I want to wait in that line. But what I'm excited about is what has happened from that is a bunch of people who know about Pappy Van Winkle have said, hey, here's all these other options that are close to Pappy Van Winkle that that you'll get it. And actually what mostly was what I was excited about hearing was a couple of these I have on my shelf at home.
Nice.
And I'm like, and I like and enjoy. I'm like, oh, that's really great. But so Larceny was one of them. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
that's pretty good. And I don't know how much I should run into the list. But what's people have done now is said, hey, if you really like this, here's how you wade into the waters. And I think we should publish that list and publish some options.
Well,
out
and
there.
we're lucky enough that this month we're trying some killer whiskeys.
Dig it.
And I'll tell you what, this Purse Reserve we got going on has a nice little flavor going, a little aroma happening. The Town Branch that we had last week was really tasty.
I gotta say, of all of them that we've had so far, this Purse is
for a non-bourbon.
Yeah, for a non-bourbon, I'm definitely on my third glass. So, but it's really good. So yeah. I'm down. So excited about that. You know what I'm also excited about, and I'm gonna wear Cincinnati on my sleeve here.
Nice.
Bengals.
The Bengals
The
are out of
Bengals.
control.
For years upon years.
Undefeated.
Yes.
Wow.
Beautiful. Love it. And
Wow.
I can't, and it's, you know what's wonderful about the whole situation? I have not yet heard anyone around here say, oh, but I've been a fan this whole time.
Yeah.
No one said it. No, I've not
Yeah.
heard that from anybody. It's nothing but positive happiness, wonderful
yeah.
things, and none of this weird.
Well, they won me back because I kind of boycotted football for a while because, Cincinnati, it was a poor return on investment, And I started adding up the hours, and I was like, man, there's a lot of time I could be doing other stuff. But anyway, they won me back over, man.
Yeah.
These guys are...
makes you realize
awesome.
what was there in the past few years.
Yeah.
That all the same guys were there, except they just weren't that healthy. Now that everyone's healthy, they're doing well.
Well, and you know what? I'm glad you brought up football and I'm glad you're here. This is a question I've always wondered. What are they using on the sidelines with them crazy
all right, look
dishes?
Look
What
at the
is that?
science of that here. So
you got a crazy dish with this mic. What do we got?
Yep.
What are we working here?
Chris,
do you know about this?
Yeah. So those are what we call a parabolic microphone, right? And it works on a similar concept to like your satellite dish, right? You've got this bowl, and as the sound wave comes in, a partial sphere like that will bounce and create a bounce that focuses in towards the middle, right? Then you stick a microphone in the middle there, and you get a very, very focused pattern, more focused than a shotgun.
Sort of amplified.
So what it's doing is it's focusing all. So in theory, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's focusing a lot of the noise around that mic as well to hit those nodes on the side to say this is all that junk that you don't want right here. And this is what you're going to get.
So when you're watching NFL films and you hear the quarterback clear as day yelling "hut hut hut," is that coming through one of those mics, or do they got a mic on him?
Yeah, you got a mic.
Usually there's a mic on them.
Yeah.
They'll do like wireless belt packs on
Gotcha.
the refs and.
Are they using AVX?
No, they're with a stadium,
Yeah.
especially pro sports stadium. There's a lot of frequency coordination going on, and there's a guy at the stadium whose job it is to coordinate all that stuff.
Wow.
And so usually it's UHF transmission, but it's very, very carefully coordinated. All the broadcast trucks, anyone in the
everybody's
stadium
throwing
who's using
signal.
a wireless. But yeah, we actually. We did some experiments with a customer at one time because the Sennheiser belt packs are metal, and on the on the higher end ones, even the battery door and everything is metal, and they were doing experimentation to see if they could hide it under shoulder pads without it being destroyed when it takes a hit. So that they could actually mic players,
or destroying the player,
right? Or right, yeah. You don't want to put an antenna through
that's
somebody's
right,
heart or anything like
Yeah.
that. But so that's about as close as I come to football because I'm not a huge football fan. I'm from Cleveland, so there's not a lot to.
So sorry about last
Yeah.
Thursday.
Well,
But
well, the good thing about being not a football fan is Cleveland is I don't care.
it's a perfect city not to be a football fan. Oh, Cleveland, you will have your day.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Things might be different for me if I was a football fan.
Yeah. So, Chris, anything else you want to share with the listeners? You guys are so awesome for coming on the show and sharing all this cool technology with us, all the coolness of one of the greatest microphone brands of all time.
Yeah.
That's not a stretch, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah,
it's
like a thing.
I mean, and especially if they were to say, well, Neumann, well, heck, it's the same.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, a different brand,
Took
same
care of
company.
that. So
wait, but before I do have a question though.
Yeah.
You said the same family on them. Is it privately owned or is it a public company?
It is. I'm not sure in Germany how that works.
Okay.
But the Sennheiser family is still very much involved in
That's cool.
Very cool.
running the company.
So I just had a quick dream in my head. As I know, when my family came here from overseas, they changed their last name to my last name, and so we can't trace lineage back from Ellis Island.
I think you're a Sennheiser.
That's what, and I'm like, man, maybe I could be a Sennheiser because it is German. Maybe
One day.
Aspire.
That would have been destiny.
Yeah, it'll be.
That's great, man. But anything you wanna throw out to people, stuff they should look for, things they should think about before purchasing a microphone. What are your final thoughts?
Well, anytime you buy anything, the things to think about is, does it do what you want it to do well, and is it going to be a good investment? And I think that with Sennheiser, not too many people make a terrible sounding microphone these days. There might be a few, but if you haven't figured out how to make a good microphone, or at least copy somebody who does, then you're not doing it right. But Sennheiser has a breadth of product that you can literally use nothing but Sennheiser and go from concept to production with all Sennheiser. Yeah, I used to have a shirt that said "Made by and Played by Sennheiser,
Nice.
and all those things complement each other really well. Especially in the wireless world, with wireless, it's not just a matter of does it sound good. It's a matter of does it sound good and is it going to work when you need it to work. And those are some things to think about.
That's awesome, man. Adam, final thoughts.
This bourbon doesn't burn too bad. It's nice. It's pretty smooth. That's like right in the middle. It's not bourbon. Oh, that's right. This show's not a bourbon show today.
It's an American malt whiskey.
All right.
So
I'm off now. I'm off my kilt.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. I know, speaking on behalf of my co-host Alex, who's filming in Chicago, he would have loved to have been here and be a part of this conversation. A lot of really cool things happening with the podcast. We've like popped in and out of the number one position under the search term bourbon. We're really starting to be noticed and ranked all over all the searches in the store. Filmmakers Film. If you are listening, if you're a new listener, if you're an old listener, either way, if you have not had a chance to give us a rating in the iTunes store, we would really appreciate a 5-star rating.
5.
Leave a review. That's helpful for us. It helps us bring in great guests like Sennheiser and give away awesome giveaways like their sweet clip mic digital microphone. Those things only happen because people know about us and people know that we have listeners. And right now we do have listeners. We've got a lot of listeners. We've got over 8,000 lifetime listeners. We're in over 45 countries, 1,200 cities. We're just having a ton of fun on this show talking about what we love, bourbon, filmmaking, microphones. It's just a hell of a good time. What do you say?
Gotta say.
It's been fun.
It's the best way to spend an afternoon.
Yeah, man.
Or an early morning.
And we'd like to, Chris, you're always welcome back on the show, man.
Absolutely,
Anytime you're in the neighborhood, let us know. We'll get you back on, talk about whatever cool things you're out there promoting. And we really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I got to say, you had me at bourbon. And I actually went back and caught up on episodes before I came on here. And
nice.
You are in my playlist as one of my new favorite podcasts.
Yes. Sweet, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Well, cheers to everybody.
Chris, thank you, sir.
Have a wonderful week. And actually, if you're... hopefully you'll come out. This is.
Wait, are you gonna say tonight?
There's gonna be There's gonna be like a whole time warp thing happening.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this podcast now, and last night you were at the Grainwell Filmmakers Drinking Bourbon Whiskey Social, then we're so excited you came. And we had a great time.
Thank you for coming. And we all really appreciate it.
I would like to speak to future Adam and say you did a great job playing music.
Yeah.
What'd you guys play tonight? Or last night? What'd you play last night?
Well, some really tripped out acoustic and accordion.
That was really cool. It sounded great.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Not a problem.
We did our best. I got nice and boozed up before I got there.
Yeah,
awesome.
Man. So, anyway, everything about this podcast, all the craziness you hear about, you can find at ftbpodcast.com, or you can find us on iTunes. Keyword search, bourbon, filmmaker, filmmaking, bourbon, filmmaking. Anyway,
we're really good with our keywords.
Yeah, you guys are great, and we'll see you next time. This podcast was recorded live at Sound Images Studio. Find out more at soundimages.com.